Every place where we come through, there was lots of trucks. Weyburn, there must have been 250 trucks waiting. In every town that we come in, there was more joining every time. I think everybody's sick of the government that's ruining us. Other than that, everybody's just here to try get rid of this carbon tax. Why doesn't the federal government do like our provincial government? I got 20% back on my solar system. Why doesn't the federal government also give us an incentive to put this in? Instead of giving money to other countries to stop carbon, why doesn't he give everybody in Canada a chance to do like I'm doing?
We have a lot of members that are going to be negatively impacted by a carbon tax in the province of Saskatchewan. A lot of our guys rely on fossil fuels, unfortunately, to build Saskatchewan's highways and transportation networks. So there's a lot at stake here in terms of jobs and competitive advantage or disadvantage in this case for our members. We're looking at well over $1 million in additional expenses for the industry that's unfortunately going to be, offloaded onto the taxpayers because the major procurer of our service is government, whether it's provincial, federal, or municipal. So ultimately, the taxpayers are going to be, facing a heavier burden because of this.
But we're going to make polluters pay and put money in your pockets.
There is an imperative to put a price on pollution, and if there are costs associated with for average families, we will more than compensate those families for those costs.
Well, how are they going to do that? They talk about this rebate as if you're going to get the money back, and then you're going to get a premium, so you're going to get even more money back. How do they calculate that, though? That was a part that was lost from the conversation.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. We're on weekdays, 11:45 Eastern. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. This is an unusual podcast. It's aimed at exposing one person in Canada. Her name is Elizabeth May. In my mind, she's probably the second most dangerous person in Canada. The first one being Herr Trudeau. She's in fact the leader of the Green Party. I want to read to you a tweet that she recently put up, bearing in mind this person is, quote, verified. It begins to beggar the question what verified actually means when somebody can post such an inane comment. She is a member of the Canadian Parliament at the federal level. Quite terrifying. She was responding to an ad that 3 of Canada's largest oil sands producers, that's where our oil comes from in Canada, to an advert they put up asking people to vote to support the energy industry. This is what she wrote in reply. This is what we're up against. If humanity doesn't transition off fossil fuels, open brackets, before the next election, close brackets, the Earth will heat to unsafe levels and there will be a climate catastrophe. Yes, you heard me right. But we aren't talking November 2020. We're talking October 2019. So this moron, who is a moron, wants us to transition off fossil fuels before October 2019. Fortunately, she's had a number of replies. I'm not going to read them all, but I think that if this is followed up, then Canada has finally gone over the cliff, and they're insane. If any Canadian votes for this individual, they should be locked up for their own safety. Fortunately, a lot of Canadians feel the same way as me, but as I said, it's scary that this is a member of the Canadian Parliament. God help us. So here are some of the comments from Elizabeth May herself. We don't have deep pockets of the oil fields industry, but we have a message. Greens are the only party willing to put a safe planet before political gain. Are you with us? And then she adds something else. To clarify, I was obviously referring to the 2023 election. Really? That isn't what that says, is it? We've been given a deadline for action and we must get on track. hashtag GPC. God knows what that stands for. And here are some comments. This is from Bill Tufts. The UN said the world was going to end in 2030. The BBC says it's over in 18 months. Now the leader of the Green Party says it's over by October 19th. And we will all be cooked in a climate catastrophe. These people are nuts. Mari Andre. I really don't think she meant that. Bill Tufts. I hope you won't vote for someone who says these things she does not mean. We have enough politicians like that already. This is from Farming Ontario. Yes, and the corrupt UN is blaming farmers and saying people need to pay a carbon price on food. You make your living off a climate hysteria, so of course you'll never say it's all okay. It's a hoax. Climate has little to do with man and will continue to change on its own. Frank Vaughan. Have another drink, Elizabeth. How many times can you cry wolf before it doesn't work anymore? The world is resilient. The climate is always changing. If you genuinely care about the environment, start talking about it and give up your crusade against plant food. Douglas Firth. Elizabeth, if you research the Earth's geological history, you will discover in the 1920s severe heat. The Earth goes through natural cycles depending on how close the axis is to the sun. Want to reduce carbon dioxide? Plant more trees. Stop destroying the Amazon. Sweden manages. Pakistani Christian. Are you drinking again? Miss Donna. The Earth is cooling. More CO2 helps plants grow, and fossil fuels have saved countless lives worldwide. Global depopulation is the main goal here. Pretending it's anything else is a lie. Bill Baker. Depopulation is not the globalist goal, in my humble opinion. It's de-industrialization of the West, weakening in preparation for the imposition of the UN globalist dictatorship. Gore and Soros don't peddle their nonsense in China and India. Good point. Hemi Man. Yes, but one leads to the other. With no fossil fuels, people won't survive one winter. Miss Donna. Exactly. I can't understand why people cannot think one or two steps ahead to come up with a conclusion themselves. Canadian. Then I challenge you to live off the grid for a month. Live off the land with only the clothes on your back. Who's with me? Jim Sarti. For the sake of conversation, let's say I agree with you, but I don't. Let's see BC end all coal exports first, plus halt all oil and gas activity, and report back to the rest of Canada how well it's working. The next one is That's Mr. John practicing ambulance chaser. Have another drink. Get hubby to gas the guzzler, and STFU. I should imagine that's some swear word, but I don't know. Brenda Mack. Yeah. No, there won't. Wow. The fear-mongering is unreal. Should be illegal, actually. If what you say is true, and it's not, then my suggestion is to get China and India to get off them first. Way bigger contributors than Canada. Yeah? Richard Stirk. Well, Dizzy Lizzie, you have just gone over the edge. Anyone thinking Green Party was an option will be rethinking that. Have you been taking tutoring lessons from McKenna? That's that climate nutball we have in Canada. Or are you sucking up, hoping you will hold the balance of power in a liberal minority? Not likely. Michael McMaster. Get with it. You see any reality in Canada completely stopping the use of fossil fuels by October 2019? If so, please elaborate. Would love to hear how folks will keep from freezing to death. Industry will continue to run and cars will haul asses around. Do tell. Debbie Palm. technology research. If we are innovative enough to use oil, we are innovative enough to use other energy sources. The planet depends on us phasing out oil consumption. You can't deny the negative effects oil consumption has burdened our planet with, and we are all contributors. Michael McMaster says, by October 2019, ? Debbie Palm, no, I don't think we're that ready yet. Baby steps. Bill Baker, is this a joke? Wants us to abandon fossil fuels before the federal election in October? Evident in this unstable mind. Crusader Laurie. May is misunderstood in this tweet. I think she's saying this election is our last stand. She's right. What we vote this October will decide if we are pro-fossil fuel or not. Not that the world will overheat in October. So let's vote. Barbie B63. Yes, it's called a dictatorship, overthrown by someone in government. Hitler did that. Trudeau loves that stuff. 222 minutes says, it was 12 years last year, then it was 18 months, now it's 3 months. At this rate, something next week you guys will be saying that we have 7 minutes to shut down all fossil fuel consumption. And it goes on like that. Now, the reason I wanted to bring you that and to give you those tweets, I'm sorry they were long-winded, but I just wanted you to get the flavour, that this person is real. She's not somebody on a late-night talk show. She represents a real party in Canada who actually believes that they can get off fossil fuels and they can carry on living. Where do they think fertiliser comes from? Where do they think packaging comes from? Where do they think clothes come from? Nylon rope. Any manner of things you can think of. How are you going to make a car? How are you going to generate enough electricity to maintain your standard of living? How are you going to afford to buy food? How are you going to afford to get to work? How are you going to afford electricity? It goes on and on and on. Well, the answer is to all of these, you're not. If you take these idiots seriously, and I do, your way of life will change not just on the periphery, it will change fundamentally. And jokingly apart, and it's no joke, you are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming fill in the blank. This is what these people are about. They want to destroy the West. And if they are so keen for us to get off fossil fuels, why are they allowing so many hundreds of thousands of, quote, refugees into the country? Increasing more demand for, quote, fossil fuels. It doesn't add up unless you understand their real agenda. As I keep saying, this is Agenda 2030. This is George Soros, and this is the United Nations. Soros being a supporter of Trudeau and the UN, along with Trudeau being a supporter of Soros and the UN. And the circle is complete, along with nutballs like May. You can laugh at this, but this person is an elected MP. Take her seriously, because she really is that dangerous. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, and email. We are also on Spotify. Just go to the podcast section and type Canadian Politics with a twist, and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio. That's EHRADIO, A Radio. And please click on the like button. And you can now hear a weekend review of our podcasts on WHBJ DB, News Talk Radio. Join us and many others, and you can find all our podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com. Click on the Morning Moments tab.